started with a short reminder of where we are in the framework, because it's been quite a long time since the last training session. There's been the summer break and there's been some calendar issue as well. So I thought that starting on a brief reminder of where we are in the framework and in the implementation of our energy efficiency strategy will be a good idea. So at this stage of the project, going through all the previous stages, we basically have our regional strategy defined. We also set our targets. We also know which action we need to overtake, the anticipated costs and their foreseen effects. And all of that we basically covered in stages 5, 6, and 7. As a side note, something we also covered is a monitoring template tool, as our colleagues from ICCP already did in session 7. So we won't be going back to that today, even though there's monitoring in the title of the session. We're going to treat it with another angle. So what do we not know yet, and what will we be treating today? So today we will see how to exactly determine the exact modalities of implementation of each energy efficiency action that we selected and we decided in the previous steps. So this will be 8.1 on your screen and 8.2. In 8.2, we will see also how you could build detailed implementation plans and establish the right partnerships for each actions. In 8.3, Klubo will be introducing us to see together how we can maintain commitment and engagement to make this action a success and to communicate on these successes. In 8.4, Marco will finish with a very important challenge as well, which is to keep the plan we crafted up to date and to adjust it whenever it will be needed. So there we are for today's agenda and content. Without further ado, let's kickstart it with the first part, which is about develop detailed implementation plans. So presented by us, the Southeast Energy Agency. I'm going to be presenting this time. So first thing first, what is an implementation plan, and what are the objectives? So I will say it's an essential part, because it's really the bridge that takes us from the planning phase that we developed previously into concrete actions. So it's a missing piece to really turn like our decisions, our strategy into concrete effects. So in the previous steps, we built it progressively, a well-thought-out strategy. We decided which action were the most relevant, depending on their efficiency, on their costs, and on a range of various criteria. So the implementation plan will ensure that our strategic goals don't remain some abstract or vague ideas, and it will allow us to set up concrete steps toward execution. So the plan doesn't just state what needs to be done, but it also provides a clear roadmap, and it also outlines how and when each task should be completed and who is responsible for them. So we will be covering the steps, the timelines, the resource allocation, and the responsibilities. You might be thinking it's already something we sort of covered in previous stages of the framework. I will answer you, not really, because we covered it, but on the scale, on a strategic point of view, on the scale of the entire strategy of the regional plan. This time we will be covering it more so at the scale of each action that will be part of our plan. I hope I made that clear, but if there's any question at any point, don't hesitate to interrupt me. So let's move forward. So how to do an implementation plan? Something we could recommend using our project cards or project fishes. So it's a recommendation, obviously, but it's a key tool that can allow you to structure each energy efficiency action of your plan in a very synthetical way. So it will regroup all of the key information in one place. It's a useful methodology, and I'd say it will ensure clarity and consistency across all of the projects, all of the energy efficiency action that you decided. So at the end, you could have some sort of organized catalog of this sort of cards, and each card will describe in detail each action that you decided. So this first one is the first example developed by our partner in Spain, FAEN, and that is also annexed to the framework. So as you can see on your screen, you have the project, a short description of it, its goals, the associated partner, the lead, the other partners, the costs, which is nice also is that you can see the foreseen costs for each year, which is very important to plan the budgets, the yearly budgets of your organizations. The support, so here you can see on this example that it will be 30% of the project cost that is supported. The life period of the project, its maturity level, and more importantly, so the main results and expected impacts. So this is just an example, but we'll see another one right now. This one is from a French local authority I used to work for. So same, if we go to the various elements that are there, you have the temporality on the top right of your screen. So you can see if it's a short, mid, or long-term action and what are the years that it covers. The strategy plan, so on the left part, there's an orange rectangle. And so it's because the strategy plan is divided in several axes on the left. So once again, if you go to the top, you can see who is the leading service, who are the targets, and what are also the available financial and technical assistance. This is really good also to be specific on that topic, but we'll come back into detail on this side of things later on. So there's also a description of the context of the action. Why are we doing that? A description of the action. And in description, you can see there's a subsection with objectives. So in there, like it's important because it's there that you will also make the connection between your global strategy and the action. So how this specific action will help us achieve the targets that we set for the entire plan. Then also obviously the budget, the expected gains, and associated benefits, which are basically, it's not the main targets, but it's something positive that you would anticipate from this action. And finally, on the bottom right, you have the monitoring indicators or the KPIs that are very important to set up from the very beginning to be able to track and monitor where we are with this action during its lifespan. So we'll come back to that later with myself, but more specifically with Marco later on in this presentation. So what are the key elements that needs to be treated in your detailed implementation plan? So this will be the typical category that you want to cover while you establish your plan. So in a minute, we will go into detail into each category to give you a better idea of what it encompasses and what you need to do. But first, let's cover the broad areas we'll need to address. So first, you will have the action breakdown. So it's about outlining specific steps and action. And this is really what are the concrete steps, the concrete agenda I need to go through to bring the plan to life. Then you have resource allocation. So this is about identifying, and assigning the rights and the suited financial, human, and material resources. Roles and responsibility, I think it's self-explanatory. Timelines and milestones, so the deadlines, the key milestones to track the progress. And you also have the founding, so exploring and securing the financial resources for the project. And finally, the risk identification and mitigation, which we didn't treat that much so far. So it's good that we have it here. which is about anticipating potential risks and preparing solutions ahead of schedule in case. So now let's break each of these categories down to see how they form like the backbone of an effective implementation plan. So let's start with the action breakdown and prioritization, sorry. So for each major action, you will need to break it down into smaller actionable steps. The goal of that is obviously to ensure that the work will not be overwhelming, you know where to start, and it will be also easier to track at a more specific level, I will say. So you will need to ask yourself questions like, what are the smaller tasks within the action? How do I decompose it? And what must be done first to set up the next steps? And that's where prioritization is important as well. But it's going to be very important that you prioritize the action that are the most impactful and urgent and feasible. And it will allow you to focus the resources and your attention on the task that will bring the most benefit first. So to do so, you could use facilitation tools, such as a prioritization matrix. And in that, you could assess the actions based on two key dimensions, so their impact on the overall goal, and the urgency with which they must be completed. Right? I'm not going to read, by the way, everything that's written on the slides, otherwise it's probably going to be too long, but we will be able to get back to it later on if you have any question or interrogation, or if you need any precision. So once we have broken down the actions and prioritize them, the next step is to allocate the resources efficiently. So it's very important because it ensures that each task has the necessary people working on them, the necessary tools, and also, well, the financial resources to be executed successfully. So first, let's talk about the type of resources, because the first thing that comes into our mind when we talk about that is the money, obviously, but we're not only talking about the money and the financial resources, even if it's a big part of it. The human resources and sometimes the material resources, depending on the nature of your projects, are also very important. So let's start with the financial resources. So the first and often the most critical one. This will imply budgeting and ensuring that each action is financially supported by your organization. So, for example, we need to allocate sufficient funds for equipment procurement, to pay external contractors if external contractors are needed, and also to anticipate any possible contingency for unexpected costs. So, for example, if you were to run a project to upgrade heating systems, we're really going to go through very concrete examples, sometimes that are not always applicable on the regional scale, but at least it makes it pretty obvious. So if you were to do this type of project, you will need to budget for the purchase of energy efficient boilers, the installation costs, the ongoing maintenance. So all of the spending posts need to be listed and correctly evaluated. And this way you can also prioritize, as I said before. For the human resources, so it will include both the internal team members who will be working on that project, who will be following it and tracking its progress when it's kickstarted. But it will also imply any external contractors or partners that are essential to run that project. So you really need to ensure that you have the right people, the right level of expertise in each place so that the action is carried out efficiently. So each person's role should be clearly defined, obviously, and the team should include project managers, technical experts, and possibly external consultants. Once again, it depends on the nature of the project I think that will be it for the resources. I'm gonna move forward. So the roles and responsibility, I might accelerate a little bit, as we already saw that previously in the framework, but once again, it's very important to define roles and responsibilities clearly. It's key to the successful execution of the actions. Each team member needs to know what they have to do, from the project manager who will be overseeing the timelines to the technical staff that will be overseeing and handling the installation of infrastructure, for instance. This will prevent overlaps, ensure responsibility and accountability, and also avoid gaps where where tasks might be missed. So yeah, it's a very important steps. I'm going to skip on that, not going to spend too much time. So the timelines and milestone, it will help us to track progress and to stay on schedule. So you're all project coordinators, project managers. So I'm not going to reinvent the hot water here, but it will be about setting deadlines for each actions that you decompose first, as we already saw, with milestone as key checkpoints where we assess the completion of major tasks or phases. So following this structure, you will ensure that you can identify any delay early on and adjust the schedule if needed so that you keep the project on track and ensure that everything is done in time. So obviously you can use Gantt charts or other planification tools. It's most welcome there, but you guys already know that, so I'm gonna pass forward on this one. Founding and budgeting. So it's obviously critical for your project success. So first, you will need to explore and to investigate various funding sources. So it could be a lot of scale. It could be government grants, regional grants, EU funds, private investors, anything that could support our energy efficiency projects. Once the funding is secured, so you need to, as I said before, carefully plan the budgets, taking into account these funds. And with, like we said earlier, if you can have a margin, if possible, to prevent any possible unexpected costs, that's perfect. All right, let's continue with the risk identification and mitigation. So we already mentioned possible delays or unexpected costs, which are parts of the risks that will be treated and covered. But for each action, these risks needs to be studied and anticipated way ahead of whenever you will start them. So if possible, you will also need a mitigation strategy already established. It's when you anticipated the possible risk, like this action could run late because there's a deficit of supply on the supply line. Well, you need to anticipate that and to eventually already plan alternative providers, alternatives. So you need to have alternatives for most potential risks so that if it happens, you're ready and you're ready to adapt, and it won't completely stop your project and put it to a delay that sometimes can be weeks, can be months, can be years. So we obviously don't want that. So to avoid that, you should also regularly review the risks throughout the project, and so that you can adapt your plan and respond quickly to any issues that arise. So there it is for the risk and mitigation strategies. So to conclude, like all of these factors considered, like taken into account in your detailed plans, and if you manage to synthesize it on this type of support that you can see on your screen, you should be able to have your implementation plan running smoothly. It's not only about getting all of the ingredients to get your product moving. It's also to be able to communicate it the right way to the partners and even to the internal team. That's why this type of communication support, like, I really recommend you to use it. And it will be it for me. I talked a little bit about identifying partners, so I will now leave the floor to Stefania, and she will take you through the process of establishing strong partnerships for this project.
So in this matter, we go to step 8.2, establishing partnerships to support actions implementation. The main objective of this step in the whole broader context of the stage is establishing partnership in order to engage various key stakeholders to achieve comprehensive and successful project outcomes. So what we need to understand at this point, and this would be beneficial for us in the whole process of engaging partners to establish those partnerships, is to the fact that the importance of partnerships lays in the diversity of resources, expertise, and all the useful networks that they can bring into, and this will feed into our useful outcome. So these collaborative efforts could allow for the pooling of strengths from different sectors, increasing the likelihood of successfully implementing complex and large-scale energy efficiency actions. The key consideration here, if it's in this stage of setting the background of this step, is that we need to identify relevant stakeholders that are likely to be beneficial for these specific partnerships for a specific energy efficiency action, and as well create a structure for mutual benefit and shared responsibility. At this point, I want to say that we have already leveraged from various steps during the planning framework. So we had some groundwork already done. I don't know why this isn't going to the next slide. Okay. So as I already said, the importance of partnerships in energy efficiency actions lays on amplifying impact through shared resources, enhancing innovation and knowledge sharing, facilitating access to funding and policy support, building broader support and engagement, overcoming barriers and challenges, ensuring and sustainability and the long-term success of our projects. Let's go to the next slide. In terms of identifying key stakeholders to establish those partnerships, I won't say much because we have already done so in the stage two, of the planning framework. So as you can see in this brief scheme, also some key stakeholder categories are utilities, businesses, research institutions, non-profit organizations. I have also another slide with public authorities. I cannot find it right now. But also in this matter, when we have already identified the stakeholders, the key stakeholders, we could leverage from stakeholder mapping and engagement processes. We have already seen the influence interest matrix on stage two, on how to, maybe this would be beneficial also when establishing partnerships. And that's why I have included it here, and we have already discussed it, that it could be useful. So the benefits of these strategic partnerships could be, first of all, the increased capacity in terms of the pooling of knowledge, expertise, financial resources, and multiple stakeholders can allow for all our efforts collaboratively to be efficiently executed, and in terms of sustainable energy action. So we know that each partner who comes from a very different, broad spectrum of public authorities, private sector, etc., can bring unique capabilities, making the project robust and scalable. These partnerships can also bring us access to new resources. So partnerships can allow planners to leverage not only financial resources, but also their in-kind contributions, such as land, expertise, equipment, and workforce. Another aspect is the enhanced innovation. So collaborative partnerships can encourage creativity and innovation by bringing diverse perspectives together when implementing an energy efficiency actions. Research institutions, for example, can offer technological advancements, while businesses can provide market-ready application. So also, it's not like inventing something new when it comes to partnerships, but stressing on the importance of building them and establishing them and maintaining them. We will have the chance to see more on it later on. And two other aspects is improved credibility of our own energy efficiency project when we have entertained and established a partnership. So sometimes energy efficiency actions in that way gain more legitimacy, which can improve access to further funding and government support, as well as social acceptance sometimes. And one last point, these long-term sustainability partnerships can help secure long-term commitment and resources, ensuring that energy projects are sustainable over time and adaptable to future energy challenges. So let's go to the next slide and see some approaches to building successful partnerships to implement energy efficiency action. So there are two main aspects. The first step is when building partnerships, and the second step is while maintaining these partnerships and that they have already entered into force. So setting objectives in the first part and fostering trust by setting clear clear communication can lead to aligning the goals from the outset. Partners in that way can ensure that their efforts are coordinated, focused on some common outcomes. This could also mean that trust building begins with transparency in communication, reliability, fulfilling commitments, and mutual respect. This is very crucial from the very first start of establishing partnerships in order to secure that everyone has set a common ground on how they will proceed. And also another aspect is maintaining partnerships, setting engagement and conflict resolution strategies. So this ongoing engagement is necessary to keep partnerships dynamic and responsive to changing circumstances. Things might change at some point, so partnerships will need to be agile and flexible on these matters. Conflicts can be managed through structured communication channels, mediation maybe, if the groundwork has been set from the first steps, and fostering a culture of problem solving rather than blame among organizations. So we know that sometimes in small communities, this might go out of hand. So it could be great to maintain transparent communication as well. So when establishing partnerships, we can see that there are some challenges, but also solutions when it comes to interconnection, communication, and engagement. One main challenge is aligning the diverse interests that the various partners can have. Different stakeholders could have varying goals, but also motivation, which sometimes can lead to conflict when it comes to the implementation of an energy efficient solution, maybe. So a possible solution could be to create a shared vision and clear SMART goals, which means maintaining the scheme of specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound goals. It's a very specific structure that could facilitate in this matter. Another aspect of challenge is resource and expertise gaps among partners. Not all stakeholders have equal resources or expertise, which can create an imbalance in contributions. So one main solution among all is to create a joint resource strategy among partners, where each partner is clear that they contribute according to their strengths, whether it's financial support, technical expertise, or equipment. Another challenge could be also governance and accountability. Without clear governance structures, partnership may struggle with decision-making and accountability. Another crucial solution on this is to implement formal agreements or establish some governance schemes, such as steering committees. Maybe a memorandum of understanding could be a great solution as well in this matter. So it's important in this part to define the roles and responsibilities, as Martin said previously, also in order to ensure that governance and accountability is in line with the partners' interaction. So to conclude somehow, another very specific aspect which is important when establishing partnerships is the fact that through these partnerships, they can all leverage resources, expertise, and their networks. In the light of the above, partnerships can actually benefit in matter of strategic resource allocation. When it comes to resource sharing, for example, they contribute their assets, whatever they are, in order to minimize individual costs, maximize the overall efficiency of the project. Another aspect of this is pooling financial resources in order to ensure and maybe allow for larger scale projects. Utilizing expertise among all these partnerships is also one crucial point, since cross-sector expertise could be also useful when you need to access a variety of skill sets, from technical expertise in energy technologies to knowledge of local regulatory environments. Also, innovation through knowledge sharing is a crucial point in this matter. So maybe a common platform could be established or agreed upon to be utilized in order to share knowledge among partnerships. This could be useful as well. So this encourages as well innovative solutions, whether technological advancements or creative approaches to overcoming challenges. Some other key points is that when partnerships are building and expanding networks can also be a field of action in terms of long-term network. This could be also beneficial for the partners. And last but not least, mutual benefit and shared responsibility. So in terms of collaborative decision making, clear governance structures can lead to better shared decision making responsibilities and also a shared vision with aligned objectives that all partners share and have a common goal in order to execute a very specific energy efficiency action. So in this point, and maybe in these steps, in this step 8.2, if we are to take some key takeaways, that could be that collaboration is a key driver that fosters success. Long-term project sustainability fosters impact of establishing partnerships, and replication and scaling is essential to implement energy efficiency actions. So building partnerships is a crucial component of this and can also foster this step as well. I think this was all from step 8.2.
So right now we are moved to the next step, 8.3, implementing action and communicating successes for energy efficiency projects. Here's the agenda. Best practices for implementing energy efficiency actions. We have project management techniques and tracking progress and adjust plans as needed. Then we have the communication strategies, and finally a case study about how the region, with the help of the cluster, successful communicated the energy efficiency projects. So best practices for implementing energy efficiency actions. Here we have project management techniques and tracking progress and adjust plans. Project management techniques. As we all know, the effective project management is essential for the successful implementation of energy efficiency actions. Here we have some best practices to do this. The first one, define clear objectives, establish smart goals, establish specific, measurable, and relevant time-bound goals to provide clear direction and purpose for the project. Then we have detailed planning, develop a comprehensive project plan that outlines the scope, timeline, resources, and milestones. Resource allocation, as Martin mentioned before, ensure that all necessary resources, including financial, human, and technical, are allocated and managed. Of course, securing that the necessary technology, also the materials are required. Risk management, identify potential risks early and try to develop mitigation strategies. Regularly review and update the risk management plan to in order to address new challenges as they arise. And finally, we have stakeholder engagement, maintain continuous communication with stakeholders to keep them informed and involved. Tracking progress and justice plans, monitoring the progress, and being flexible with plans is essential for adapting to unforeseen challenges and ensuring project success. We have the KPIs, key performance indicators, establish KPIs to measure project performance against objectives, regular track these indicators to monitoring the progress, regular reporting, implement a reporting system that provides updates on project status, accomplishments, and any issues encountered. This can be done through progress reports, dashboards, and meetings. Adaptive management, be prepared to adjust plans based on feedback and changing circumstances. This involves reviewing projects, identifying areas for improvement, and making necessary adjustments to stay on track. Then we have some communication strategies. Effective communication is really important for promoting energy efficiency actions, engaging stakeholders, and sharing the successes of the projects. Here we have some strategies. First one is press releases. You can use press releases to announce major milestones, new projects, and significant achievements. You can distribute this to local and national media outlets to gain coverage. Then we have newsletters. With newsletters, you can regularly update stakeholders and the community with highlight project progress, success stories, and of course, upcoming events. Then we have social media updates. Utilize social media platforms to share real-time updates, photos and videos of the project activities. This will help to engage followers by responding to comments and encouraging discussions in the comments, etc. Public events, organize events such as open workshops, open houses, and conferences to showcase project achievements and educate the public about the energy efficiency projects. Engaging stakeholder and the public, target communication, tailor messages to different stakeholder groups to address their specific interests and concerns. Interactive platforms, use online forums, webinars, and surveys to facilitate two-way communication with the stakeholders and the public. Visual storytelling, employ infographics, videos, and case studies to visually communicate the impact and the benefits of energy efficiency actions. Visual content is more engaging and easier for people and stakeholders to understand. And finally, we have recognition and incentives, recognize and reward contributions from stakeholders and community members. Here we have a case study about how the region, with the help of the cluster, could manage to successful communication the energy efficiency projects. Pretty much, it's a sum up about from the communication strategies that we seen before. Press releases and media coverage. We regularly issued press releases to local and national media, highlighting key milestone and project launches. Engaging newsletters in order to share success stories and inform the community about upcoming events. Active social media presence. We have an active presence on social media platforms, posting regular updates, photos, videos. This also engage with followers by answering questions and encourage them discussion about the energy efficiency. Public events and workshops. We organize public events and workshops to showcase the benefit of energy efficiency projects. These events include presentations and interactive sessions, allowing community members to learn and participate. And finally, the stakeholder involvement. Sorry, the region use target communication strategies to engage different stakeholder groups. This including business, academia, or non-profit companies. This ensured that each group's specific interests and concerns were addressed, and fostering strong support and collaboration. So thank you, guys. That's all from me.
Okay, so very shortly, the let's say agenda of my part. So I will start with explaining the importance of periodic review and updates. Moving on to also the importance of having comprehensive assessments of the progress being made regarding energy efficiency. Thereafter, evaluating the changing energy landscape, and finally finishing with identifying areas for improvement and revising the plan. Okay, so let's start with periodic review and updates. So very basically in this step, planners should review the relevant policies, strategies, and targets regarding national energy. And here it is very important to understand the national context and priorities, as this will help to ensure that the plan provides proper alignment with the broader policy frameworks. So, for example, imagine the national energy and climate plans. These need to align with the broader framework that, in this case, the government is carrying out. Why isn't it? Okay. Then, next thing, planners should examine the existing regional and local visions, and from these ones, when analyzing these, also include any other relevant policy areas that may affect the energy framework. So really identify gaps, synergies, and potential conflicts at regional level, but also between different levels of governance. So what we see very often is, for example, taking again the NECPs, that at the national level something was planned, but then there is miscommunication with regional and local levels, which hinders from the policies being carried out, which hinders the policies being carried out. So we must ensure that this does not happen, and ensure again that the regional plan is consistent with and builds upon the existing planning efforts. Then the objectives, targets, priorities need to be defined and updated based on learnings from all levels of governance. And these objectives should consider other factors such as the economic development of the region, in this case, the long-term energy independence, environmental protection, and improvement of quality of life and of health. And finally, an appropriate set of indicators needs to be identified to better define in the new set of objectives. So without quantifying our impacts, it's very difficult to come up with better ways of improving our objectives, essentially. And here we move to the next point, which is the comprehensive assessment of energy efficiency progress. I will focus on these 3 points, so meeting objectives and targets, effectiveness of specific actions and projects, and lessons learned. So first of all, an accurate monitoring and evaluation of actions needs to be entails a different set of points. First one, setting people in charge of overseeing the monitoring process, defining the parts of the plan that need to be monitored, identifying data sources, making conclusions, corrective actions, disseminating the results to the stakeholders, but also during all of this, setting a time schedule for the whole plan, but also for monitoring the actions and the energy inventory. Then the effectiveness of specific actions and projects. This needs to be assessed, again, comparing different indicators. Analysis of past trends, ex-ante analysis can help us understand if the specific action project is in line, or if not, is in line with the targets, or if not, an ex-post analysis through simulations, where we try by using the indicators that have been delineating to understand how the different actions projects will be carried out in the long run. And then lessons learned. So of course, every time we need to consider the pros and cons resulting from specific actions, projects. Good practices need to be replicated, bad practices need to be improved. And it is again key that really there is a reporting of the lessons learned so that these don't get lost. So next step, evaluating the changing energy landscape. So as we know, energy efficiency, renewable energies are always changing. It is a technology that is constantly advancing, so it is important to always analyze the energy efficiency practices, be on top of the game. Let's say evolving regional needs and circumstances, so also due just simply to climate change. The regional needs and circumstances are ever changing. And then if you combine these two, we get to stakeholder priorities. In fact, if just one of the two, for example, just the technology advances more than expected, the priorities will change of stakeholders, their objectives will change. So we always need to take this into account. As at the end of the day, we cannot go forwards without the involvement of stakeholders. And finally, in identifying areas for improvement and revising the plan. So as I have been saying the whole presentation, the plan needs to be updated regularly. The areas of improvement need to consider, so as we said, technological advancements, regional needs, and stakeholder priorities. The areas of improvement need to be backed by quantitative indications coming from either ex ante or ex post analysis of the developed indicators. And even if everything is going as planned, potential areas of improvement always need to be found and delineated. So, to summarize everything I have been saying, planners need to regularly align plans with general objectives related to the energy policy framework. There needs to be, these needs need to be updated in according with the energy efficiency project progress. In turn, the evolving regional needs and stakeholders' priorities need to be taken into account at all times. And to conclude, considering all the found areas of improvement, the plans need to be revised regularly. So this was it from my part. I hope you managed to follow and enjoyed it. And if you have any questions, please let me know.